My name's Dick Jensen, and I'm running a couple of CNC machines for my company, Temple Carvings, which you'll find on the internet at templecarvings.com. And I want to demonstrate how I apply the AIM Lube to these CNCs because I found it superior to what the company who makes these machines had originally told us to use. I used to use a silicone spray, and I find that spraying it, of course, gets all over the rails and the back of the machine, and that leaves a sticky residue. So the sawdust that's created in doing the tool paths gets stuck all over the rails and on the back, and it's a mess. Also, so I did finally settle that I could get a brush, spray the silicone on the brush, and apply it to the rails. But then what was happening is that any excess would drip down along with the sawdust that was accumulating and create blotches on my wood. Later, when I would lacquer the wood, the blotchy spots wouldn't accept the lacquer. So that was a real problem in finishing, as well as having a lot of gunk on the rails and sawdust accumulating. So when I discovered the AIM Lube and tried it, I found that most of those problems, well, actually all those problems go away. So I use the lube in this little applicator that they provide. I can refill it out of their spray can, and it's really simple to apply just by running a bead along the top of the rail, and then I encourage it to run down the side a little bit for each of these rails, and that is really all I have to do to it. No spraying the paintbrush. I do go across. Let's move this over so I can get the rest of the rail on the other side of the headpiece here. Just make sure I've got it all. And then when I run this thing, as often as I do, which is about 24 hours a day, I use my long tool paths running through the night. I've got some that run as long as 18 hours to get fine detail. When I apply this, then I can just forget about it. It's not going to seize up or start squeaking, and it's not going to start dripping oil on my boards while I'm not here paying attention to it. And I typically, with a silicone spray, had to apply it every third or fourth plaque that I cut. And I've discovered in the last 2 weeks, when I've done about 15 plaques, that I have not yet reapplied the lube. There hasn't been any squeaking, there hasn't been any greasy kid stuff to deal with. So I'm really happy with it. I get a better product, something I can trust and walk away from and know that it'll still perform. I'd apply it the same way on the vertical axis here. Just run a little bead down the side and spread it around, and it'll spread itself around through the machine, moving up and down. So I don't have to get every single side of it. It seems to apply itself pretty evenly with use. And there are rails underneath here for the north-south axis that I could also apply it to. So that's why I'm using the AIM, because it takes all the headaches away of the silicone spray that had been recommended. And I will load a tool path. What I want to do is a mirror pocket on the back of a piece of beech. I'm going to cut out one of the Mormon temples. This is one that was requested of the Manti temple. And so I'm going to cut out a pocket in the back to set a mirror in. Then when I turn it over and cut the temple and the background is taken away, I've got a mirror showing through. Now this has a spindle which is operated on a separate circuit from my controller. So I have to remember to turn it on before I run the tool path. Otherwise I do ugly things to the wood. So we're getting up to 24,000 RPM on the spindle. Now, see how noisy that is? And how much sawdust that produces? That's why you don't want gummy kid stuff on your rails. All of this fine sawdust would really cause a problem. Of course, when I'm operating the vacuum, that keeps most of the sawdust gathered up. But on my other machine, I don't have that attachment. So I'm glad I don't have to use greasy kid stuff anymore. Now just continue. It's doing this pattern. This green line, vertical, and the X shows right where the tool path is at any time. So it'll progress all the way up to the top. Then it'll go around the edge to make everything smooth. And that'll be it for that pocket. Then I go to another tool path to do my name and company name on the bottom, and a different tool path to do a keyhole in the top for hanging it on the wall. Then I flip it over and start the different tool paths for actually creating the design of the temple. Okay, well, I think probably the biggest difference between the silicone and oily sprays and the AIM product is the bond that occurs between the lubricant and the metal. And that's something I don't understand. I've had a lot of chemistry. I spent 39 years as a dentist. So I had inorganic chemistry for a full year, then organic chemistry for a year. Then in dental school, we had a year of biochemistry. And so I thought I knew all about ions and the chemistry of what each is capable of doing. But this AIM spray creates an ionic bond between the lube and the metal, which really keeps it from getting wiped off too easily, which keeps it in place under function. So it's kind of spread itself along these rails from that little bit that I dribbled across it. And with time, I understand, it'll actually bond even better if I don't use it immediately. But that's probably one reason why it works well after 3 or 4 plaques, or 5 or 6, or even a dozen plaques, where the greasy kid stuff wipes off after 2 or 3 and I'm greasing it up again. So the mystery of that ionic bond, I don't understand it yet. He's going to explain it to me sometime. Okay, well, I mentioned that my company is Temple Carvings, and so here is an assortment of the different temples that the Mormon Church has built throughout the world. Differences from Vernal, Utah to Seoul, South Korea. Let's see, San Diego. Here is Sapporo, Japan. You can see I did a different kind of frame on my more recent productions. Started out with just plain wood and then discovered that I could do that mirror pocket in the back. And so that's a step forward. Now I'm doing a more decorative frame around the edges and just continue making progress on different ideas that come up. Different kinds of wood include steamed European beech, hard rock maple, walnut, and here and there there's some cherry hiding in there. But so far I've done 52 different designs of temples and getting increasing demand for them, so that's why I needed that second CNC. And I need to trust them, which is why I need AIM lubricant. I think one of the most interesting ones that shows the 3D effect is the Provo City Center. It used to be an assembly hall that the Mormons built in the late 1800s. It burned several years back, so they rebuilt it, put parking lot underneath the building, turned it into a temple, and it just has a lot of interesting, what I call frou-frou, that architects over the years have added to the design. So it has a lot of little details in it. And that's right in the center of Provo City, which is just north of us about 50 miles. Yeah, here's manti that you had ordered for somebody. Was that for yourself?
For myself.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now this is in England, Leeds, England. The reason I made this one is that one of my grandsons was sent on a mission to Leeds, England, and his language was Mandarin Chinese. There's a whole community of Chinese people there. So the name down here, Elder Chan, was one of his companions who has since returned to China, and he had me make a plaque like this for his missionary companion with the Preston, England temple that was in their district. So the idea is to do memorials for people with information that makes it mean something special and personal to them. I have fun. I really enjoy making them. If I didn't have one of these to get up and work on in the morning, I wouldn't be interested in getting up and going to it. Yeah, you have to have a reason to get up in the morning after you retire. And this is mine.
This is great.
There's another variation of what you can do with the CNC. This is a heart shape, and it has the Manti temple. A common theme is families are forever, but I have done several where I've just put the family names, even the children, down the side, and all kinds of adaptations and variations are possible, which keeps it interesting. I'm not just cranking out the same thing day after day. This is so that in a booth where I'm pitching my product to people who go past, they can get an idea of the color that might accommodate the best in their home. Get the effect that they want to blend in or to contrast. So very dark to very light. So you can choose what kind of wood you want, which temple you want, and what writing on it would be of significance to you. Start to finish, if somebody wants a design that I haven't done before, I say give me a month to do the design and get it cut out and lacquered and mailed to you. The first plaque I designed took me 3 months because I was learning to use the software. And now I could probably do the same design in 2 or 3 days. And after doing the design then and going out to the CNC machine with the design on my thumb drive, plug it into the controller, it would take at least 2 days of going through the toolpaths to get it cut. And after that, I need 2 days to do the lacquering. So I get 4 coats of lacquering on each side of the plaque. That takes time. So 4 days in actual production after I've done the designing. If I charged by the hour, nobody could afford it. And so I keep the price down where I think it's reasonable so more people can afford to get one for their home.
So describe reasonable.
Well, I charge $85 for the basic one, which is all just wood background. If I cut out the background and do the mirror, that's $95. If they want walnut, they have to realize that the market's gone crazy. Japanese are buying so much American walnut that it's tripled in cost this last year. So if you want walnut, it's $10 additional as well. So the range is from $85 to $105, depending on the wood and mirror or not. Now,